Rick Ross just pulled off what many are calling a $120 million hustle, and it looks like Big Meech was the one who got played. Now 50 Cent is out here clowning the whole situation. The crazy part? Everyone saw it coming except Meech. Ross came in smooth, promising movie deals, major projects, and Hollywood fame. But once the spotlight faded, he disappeared, leaving Meech and his son out in the cold while he kept living big in his luxury mansions. What looked like loyalty turned out to be business, and Meech was the one left holding the bag. Street insiders say they saw this coming long before it hit the headlines. When Big Meech walked out of prison in October, everyone
I feel bad for Lil Meech. I don't feel bad for no grown man on this planet. Like, I'm a grown man. Why the f I gotta feel bad for another grown man? Like, you a grown man too. What you asking for my sympathy for? You be alright.
Expected a comeback story, the legend returning to rebuild his empire. Fans thought he'd finally turn his street fame into a real business legacy. But out of nowhere, Rick Ross stepped in, talking about $120 million film deals, big projects, and life-changing opportunities. On paper, it looked like Meech was finally about to profit from his name. But when the hype died down, nothing happened. No deals, no payments, no empire, just empty promises. Ross allegedly used Meech's name as a prop in his ongoing feud with 50 Cent. Big Meech was supposed to rise again as a legitimate star, but instead, Rick Ross brought nothing but empty hype and flashy headlines. While Ross used the situation to boost his own image, he gave nothing back. Still, Meech stayed close to him, ignoring the one man who had truly kept his name alive, 50 Cent. That choice created...
That guy? I don't think there's a bad guy.
No, yes it is. Fuck that, Vlad. Let's talk about it.
I think Meech is the one that made a mistake.
No.
No? You think 50?
No.
Lil Meech?
No.
Who am I forgetting now?
Rick Ross knew perfectly damn well what he was doing and what that would lead to. And if he was a real friend to Meech...
Serious tension behind the scenes. Even Tony Yayo said it straight. 50 had been riding for Lil Meech since day one, no gimmicks, no fake loyalty. Now word is Meech is feeling the heat. His frustration's growing, money's running low, and reality's setting in. Ross never moved out of loyalty. He did it to take a shot at 50 and stir the pot. The result? Meech went from looking like a legend to looking like a pawn in someone else's feud. That's when 50 Cent decided to strike back, trolling Ross online and claiming Ross told Lil Meech to send his dad's address so he could mail him some Wingstop wings. But that jab wasn't just for laughs. It carried layers of meaning. 50 Cent was sending a message that Rick Ross wasn't truly feeding the Meech legacy anything solid, only tossing scraps disguised as loyalty. His humor cut deep because it had truth behind it. Then things turned personal. 50 started exposing what he claimed were Lil Meech's real struggles behind the scenes. He said he personally had to step in and send Meech to rehab after showing up to set intoxicated, throwing up during weapons training, and losing focus during filming. Then came the infamous Whippets story. Nitrous oxide canisters reportedly found in Meech's truck, linked to reckless behavior. 50 joked that he had to Google what Whippets even were, laughing at the absurdity while making it clear he was the adult keeping the show on track. He painted himself as the protector, the one holding Lil Meech's career together while Ross and Big Meech, in his eyes, were being careless with their name and reputation. Yet despite all that, Lil Meech still sided with Ross, spotted partying and smiling for the cameras. Now, the streets are clowning what's left of the once-respected BMF legacy. That partnership with Ross, built more on ego than loyalty, crumbled faster than anyone expected. Then, power star Michael Rainey Jr. stepped in, saying bluntly that he didn't feel sorry for either of them, because grown men should have seen this coming. That clip from Michael Rainey Jr. spread like wildfire across social media, sparking heavy debates. And when 50 Cent saw it, he didn't hesitate. He doubled down hard. He backed Rainey's words completely, using them to reinforce his point that the Meech camp was looking weak and easily played. There was no backpedaling from 50. He owned it, framing the whole situation as another case of poor loyalty and bad decisions. And honestly, Rick Ross leaving people hanging isn't anything new. Allegedly, he's pulled similar moves before. Sources claim Ross once left members of his own crew stranded in Canada after a fight broke out, letting them get jumped while he quietly slipped away. Later, he supposedly returned, calling it a test of strength. Cold, strategic, and exactly the kind of move people say defines him. Wack 100 didn't hold back when he jumped into the drama, calling Rick Ross the real villain behind the curtain. According to him, Ross was never a true ally to Big Meech, just a master manipulator using Meech's name to take shots at 50 Cent. Wack said if Ross genuinely cared about helping Meech, he would have kept business private, handled things quietly, and let the work speak for itself. Instead, Ross made it all about him. The attention, the fame, the headlines, he paraded Meech's name around like a trophy, using the connection to boost his own image. That, Wack said, told everyone exactly what kind of game Ross was playing. He wasn't in it for Meech. He was in it for himself. Ross had been gassing Meech up with empty promises of money and power while secretly building his own empire. In the end, all that was left were false promises, bad blood, and another lesson in misplaced trust. Rick Ross went completely silent on Big Meech, cutting off all communication right when the hype started to die down. That's when reality hit. Ross only rides for people who make him money, and Meech was no longer profitable. Rumors quickly spread that Ross was the real reason behind the cancellation of Meech's long-awaited Welcome Home benefit event, something fans initially blamed on 50 Cent. But insiders painted a different picture. They claimed Ross didn't want Meech to bounce back or regain power. He wanted him sidelined, stuck in the shadows while Ross played the online hero. To many, that was the ultimate betrayal, a calculated move to trade another man's legacy for clout. When Meech tried clapping back, calling 50 an internet gangster, nobody believed it. The damage was already done. The memes, jokes, and headlines all told the same story. Big Meech had been outplayed by Rick Ross. When you look closely at Rick Ross' history, a pattern becomes hard to ignore, one driven by opportunity, not loyalty. Almost every major alliance he's built in hip-hop has ended the same way: confusion, broken trust, and someone else losing out. From the early days of Maybach Music Group to his fallouts with close associates, Ross has repeatedly turned friendships into stepping stones. Take MMG, for instance. Whale, Meek Mill, and Gunplay all once rode under his banner. But as time passed, each voiced frustration over shady contracts, missing payments, and promises that never came true. While Ross played the role of mentor in public, behind the scenes he was accused of control, ego, and manipulation. Even Meek Mill, once seen as Rick Ross' right-hand man, eventually pulled back after realizing the empire wasn't built for everyone to win. The same pattern seems to be repeating with Big Meech. That hyped-up $120 million project Ross promised? Nothing but smoke and mirrors. Yet somehow, he walked away with fresh publicity and another boost to his image, and people have noticed the cycle. Every time Ross starts fading from the spotlight, he latches onto someone still respected in the streets, using their name to stay relevant. Meanwhile, 50 Cent has taken a completely different route, turning real-life stories into billion-dollar franchises. That's the contrast. Ross chases clout, while 50 builds legacy. The streets, the fans, even industry insiders see it now. Ross might be playing checkers while 50's out here running chess. The bigger question is, how many more people will Ross pull into his orbit before they realize the pattern? Because history doesn't lie. Everyone who stands next to Ross eventually learns that